Welcome to part 2 of the mini drone animation series. So far, we've done with modeling and rigging, and now it's time for shading and animation, which is the fun part of the series. Here are the timestamps for the respective sections. So, enough chit chat. Let's jump right in. Okay, so welcome to part 2 of this two-part series. And in this part, we're gonna just, do the shading and animation and rendering. So yeah, those three will be covered in this part. So let's right off the bat, let's start with the shading. So, okay, so let's just select this object, and there are two ways you can just do the whole shading thing. Either you can just go over here, this second last icon from the bottom, and then just add a material and do all that thing, or to excuse me, to look more professional, go to the shading workspace, and you can of course work over here. Now your workspace might look a bit different than mine, but that's okay. The buttons, the nodes and all, they will remain the same. That's kind of obvious, but okay. So let's just select our phone over here, and once that's selected, let's just hit new, and boom, here we have our first shader. And as you can see, nothing has changed, because whenever you don't add a shader, Blender by default gives this shader to whatever any object that you have. So let's just name the shader first to phone. Oh, sorry, caps lock, phone. And now the look that I'm going for is black metallic. All right, so over here, this is a principal BFCF, also known as a Uber shader, meaning that you don't have to do all those complicated nodes, because it has been already done for you over here. And this is amazing. It's the best shader, really. Enough to get you started with Blender. So here's what we're gonna do. Since we want it to be a metallic shader, all we have to do is just turn this slider all the way up. Now, pro tip, pro tip about metallic is that you can't keep it at 0.3, 0.8, something like that. It either has to be 0 or 1, no in between. Cool. Now that that's done, I'm gonna reduce its roughness to something like 0.2. Now, roughness means how glossy or reflective the surface is. 0 roughness means it's totally reflective. 100% or at 1, it's not reflective, not glossy at all. It's completely diffuse. Now I want it to be a bit reflective, so I'm just going to keep it at 0.2 or maybe 0.1 for that matter. Yeah, this looks good. But now you might be wondering, how do we add another material? Because if you remember, if I just hit a tab, we have an extra face over here, right? So how do we give that another shader? Well, that's pretty easy. So over here, let's just add another shader, and let's just name this one screen, right? And then if in the edit mode, right, if you see over here, there's no options available over here, but if I go into edit mode, you see 3 options are there. So in edit mode, make sure that this face is selected, then make sure the new shader is selected that we just made, named screen, and then let's just hit the assign button. So basically we have assigned this beautiful shader to our beautiful face, the face to this beautiful shader. There you go, screen. Now we need to add, or at least I need to add my logo over here, right? And yeah, before that, actually I'm just gonna go over here to the phone shader, and I'm just gonna change its color to something not that black, yeah, something like this. So it's kind of cool. And you'll notice that this curve is not a total curve. Like, you can see a bit of edges over there. So if I just do this, and by the way, I am able to jump into full screen mode by hitting Control Spacebar. So yeah, just a fun little thing. Anyway, so as you can see, they aren't curved. There's definitely sharp edges over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the modifiers tab, collapse this, and add in a subdivision and set it to 2. But that kind of messes with our face over here, because subdivision, what it does, it basically just subdivides it and it smooths it out. Okay, so So here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to inset it again. So if I do something like this, yeah, looks good. And as you can see, this was our initial edge, and the white is it's not a bit inside it. I really don't want that. So let's just go over here in the layout so that we guys can see it a bit better. Dive into edit mode. And there you go. Wait, let me just turn on my screencast keys on. Yeah, so there you go. So this is the line that we marked, and the white or the new shader is it's gone a bit inside, and I really don't want that. If you want it, all cool, but if you don't, so here's what you do. So you select that edge, right? So you select it by holding Alt and then just click on it. So there you go, that's selected. Then hit the N key to bring up this panel. If it's closed, then go to item over here, and over here you see this mean crease. Just turn it up to 1, and that basically just gets rid of it. Now again, yeah, no, there's nothing to talk about there. So let's just go into the shading and then select our screen, and now I want to add in a texture. So let's see, I think I've already opened up my folder for texture. So just select any image you want and then drag and drop it over here. Yeah, and then all you got to do is just connect it to the base color from color to color, and now you see that it's getting a bit chonky. Yeah, well, the reason for that is because this face hasn't been UV unwrapped. Remember, whenever you're applying textures to any model, you need to UV unwrap it. And UV unwrapping is basically like, let's say you're packing a gift for someone you love or hate, doesn't really matter. So the gift wrap that you're wrapping it around is just a 2D texture, but you're folding it around a 3D object, and that's how it works in the 3D world, right? So it's a 2D texture, but the software doesn't know where the edges are lying, right? Where we have to fold it around. So UV unwrapping is what tells us the object, hey, there is a fold, there's an edge over here, so fold it around it. So that's what we're gonna do. Also, just select this image, and we need to make sure that we are using the UV unwrapped, right? UV unwrapping, or you'll see what I mean. Just select the image and hit Control T. If you can't do that, it means that you don't have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. So just go to the Edit, Preferences. God, I hate doing this. Add-ons, and just type in Node. There you go. This one. Make sure that's enabled. And as you can see, there are a couple of modes to apply textures, but the one we want is the UV one. Okay, cool. So now let's wrap it properly. So I'm just going to select this face, then Alt select this, or sorry, Alt select this, and then select this holding Shift. Go to the UV editing workspace, look dev mode, top view, and then just hit U, project from view. And now we get this, right? So over here, I'm just going to hit A to select everything, and then just scale it up. But I don't want it to be horizontal or vertical. I don't know what this is. Horizontal, vertical, I always get confused. But you get the gist. I want it to be something like this. Right? Let me just use this. Yeah. So I want my logo to appear like this instead of like this, which is it's like this. But no, I want it to be like this. Hope that helps. Sorry if I don't know what. Oh boy. No, I try to remember like what is horizontal, which is horizontal and which is not, but every time I end up forgetting, so I just give up. Anyways, I'm just going to rotate this on the x-axis. Remember, if it's not selected, again select this edge by this face is by holding Alt, and then Shift select this face. So there you go, you have that selected. Hit R, X. It's doing the opposite. As you can see over here in the top left corner, you have it's written rotate, ROT, and then semicolon, then 38. And it's rotating on the wrong side. We want it to rotate 90 degrees, but that's not how we want. So let's type in -90. Yeah. So there you go. Then I'm just gonna scale it up. And once I start to scale up, you'll notice that this image is being repeated. So there's an easy way to fix that, but let's just move this on the y-axis to something like over here, and then just scale it up. Yeah, here you go. Then let's go to the shading workspace, and now over here, over. Yeah, that's a good one. over here, instead of repeat, which is under flat, which is under linear, which is okay, I'm just going to stop. So under repeat, let's just select extend, and that just basically gets rid of it. So yeah, that's the majority of the texturing. So I want the bottom part, or I think we called it base, to have the same texture as this, or the shader, sorry, shader. I'm just going to select this, then I'm going to select this holding shift, so shift select that, then control L and choose materials. There you go. So now I'm just going to select this phone, and I'm just going to hit H to hide that. Then I'm going to select this, and this, so the making sure that the base is the last thing that I select. Again, then shift L, materials. There you go. And I want this to have the white material, so the default material, that is. All right, so that's all cool. Hit Alt H to unhide the phone. Then I think we're done with the whole shading thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Also, okay, a cool trick for you guys, and this is just a just something I learned. Let's just bring this over here. Now over here, if I control shift select this, you'll see that this is the texture, and the black area is basically the transparency. It's transparent, so that's why it's showing black. But what if I want to have another color lying below this, right? Maybe you want green, maybe you want black, or it's already black, but okay, blue. Let's say you want blue. Okay, how do you do that? Well, let's just add in a mix shader. Sorry, mix shader won't do. Mix RGB. Mix RGB. Or let's just type in mix and this mix RGB. Yeah, let's just bring it over here, and let's just put this over here. Okay, now the color one is having this color, and then I'm just gonna select another color that I want to be below the thing. And then if you view this now, you'll see that it's kind of doing the thing, but the slider, it means that if it's at 100, the bottom color will show, and if it's at 0, the top color will show. But we want this color to be shown wherever there's transparency. So simple, let's just connect the alpha to the factor, and it's kind of doing the opposite. Okay, I get it. So just connect this one to the bottom socket, and then choose this, the top one over here. So here's the thing with Blender's mix node. Okay, it's a very important thing that you need to know. The bottom color is the foreground one, and the top color is the background one. So we want our logo, or whatever texture it is, to be on top of whatever color we want there to be, right? So that's why we need to plug this at the bottom and then this on the top, and this is the factor. If you take a look at the factor, this is how it is. Okay, yeah, the alpha channel. Cool, you did it. Now I really don't want this to be anything other than black, so I'm just gonna delete that and then just plug this in as it is. Yeah, so there you go. You can of course again, you know, duplicate this one and then make it like full roughness, and then add in a mix shader, right? Because we're mixing shaders. Connect this to over here, this over here, and then connecting this to the principal BSDF, and then using the alpha anytime, any minute now. Okay, it's showing us white, so if I just, you know, make this metallic, I don't know why I would do that, but yeah, here it is. It's weird, I know. Or I think I just turn down the metallics a bit and make it, I don't know, green or something. Yeah, so as you can see, wherever we have our image, which is this one, we get this shader shown, right? And wherever we don't have our image, wherever there's transparency to the image, we're getting this whatever this you want to call it. Because here's what's happening over here. The bottom one is the foreground one, so this is being laid on top of this one. And yeah, so it's the same thing that we did before, you know, using this as a factor. So wherever there's transparency, this shader will be shown, and wherever there's not transparency, this is where this shader will show. And this is just acting as, the alpha channel is acting as a factor. Okay, wherever there's white will be the bottom shader because that's the foreground, and wherever there's black will be the top shader, that being that the background. Okay, that is way ahead of what I wanted to teach you guys. Completely unrelated, but just in case you want to try it out, right? So that's that for the shading. Now I'm just going to quickly set up the lighting scene so that we can move on for the animation part of this tutorial. So I'm just going to select this and bring it a tad bit up and then add in a plane. But you'll notice that the plane has gone into the same collection and I don't want that. So I'm just going to making sure that the plane is selected, hit M, new collection, and I'm just going to call this one Studio. Studio. This is the collection that will have all our lights and the cameras and all that. Also, a quick little tip, I don't know if it's that important or not, but if I add another, let's just say mesh circle, it gets added in this collection. Let's just name this main, right? But I want, whenever I add another object, now the upcoming ones are going to be lights and cameras, and I want them to be added in the studio one. So all I have to do is just select the studio collection and then add anything. So let's just say if I add another light, sorry, the first light of the scene, now it gets added in the studio collection. But yeah, so I'm just going to select this, go into edit mode and then scale it up. Now you can of course just scale it in the object mode because we are going to later delete this and add in a beautiful backdrop. Now this is just for setting the light. Then I'm just going to add a camera. There you go. No, it's over here. It's pivoted very weirdly, but don't worry. Let's just select the camera, make sure the camera is selected, then hit, then just go to a view that you want your camera to have, and then let's just hit Control Alt 0. And yeah, I think this is good. So I'm just going to go to my render settings and I'm going to change the resolution to 1000 pixel by 1000 pixel. Yeah, there you go. And I think I'm just going to hit GZ and bring my camera a bit up. Yeah, that sounds cool. And also I think I'm going to go to the view and change this to 0.01. Yeah, cool. Okay. And now I'm just going to go into the rendered mode, and you'll see that it's black because this is the rendered mode. We're using Eevee as a render engine. You can of course go with Cycles, but you know, Eevee is fine for this one. So yeah, so select the area light, hit G, Z to bring it up, something like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another window, and you know, you can do that by just, you know, whenever your mouse is hovering over this between these two gaps, you can open up another window. So yeah, so I'm going to change this to rendered as well, and I'm going to keep this this area where I'll, you know, set up the lights and all that, and this is how I'll be able to see what it looks through the camera. Anyway, so go to the light properties and then let's just change this power to 100. Yeah, that's cool. So I'm just going to hit the tilde key, go to the top view, and okay, this is where my camera is. So I'm just going to hit G and Shift Z, meaning that I'll be able to move this light on X and Y axis but not the Z axis. So I think I'll keep this one something right like this. Yeah, then Shift D to duplicate, again G, Shift Z, and I'll bring this sucker somewhere over here, or maybe over here. Yeah, this, and then I'll duplicate that again, G, Shift Z, and now I'll bring this over here. I think I'll bring the tabletop a bit closer so that we'll get some sharp shadows. Let's go to the render settings and then enable ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflections. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And under shadows we want to enable, so select any light you want, and in that light we have to enable contact shadows. But you know, it's kind of pretty boring that, you know, go under every light and then keep enabling contact shadows. So cool little trick is that select all your lights, then go to the properties, and now if you just enable one, you know, it won't affect the others because that's not how it goes. So instead what you want to do is select one light, then shift select all the lights. Either you can do it from over here or over here, and then alt click the option that you want to change. And now if we take a look, there you go. Yep, it's a cool little trick. So I'm just gonna bring the lights around something like this, something closer, so that we get cool contact shadows and harsher shadows to be specific. I think I'll yeah, I'll just increase its height a bit, and then I'll just give this one I'll call a simple shader. I'll call it BG, and I'll just make it a bit blue, not that much, something like this. Yeah, or maybe a bit cyany. Yeah, something like this. I'll play with the colors at a later point in time. We'll play with the colors later point in time. But yeah, just wanted to get the shader ready, and maybe I'll change the roughness to 0.2. No, that's weird. 0.3. Rather keep it at 0.5. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's it for the shading part. Yeah, I think that's it. Yep. I'll see you in the animation part, because that's really the only thing left for us to do, which is going to be very fun because we are going to be messing around with curves. Now the animation is simple, but the curves are going to make it look a lot better. So yeah, I'll see you in that part. Alright, so the last part of this video, and that is animation. And of course rendering, but rendering will only take a minute or two. The setup, of course, rendering the animation might take a while depending on your hardware, but yeah, so let's start with the animation. So I just pulled up the timeline indicator, and I'm just going to go over to the render settings, or sorry, yeah, the output settings, and change this to 30 frames per second, and give ourselves a bunch of frames. That is 500 frames. Okay, so first what I want to do is I'll just go to my camera view by hitting numpad 0. And the first thing that I want to do is, the first thing that I want to animate is just this whole thing, the base going down. Okay, so at frame, let's say 30, or you know what a good practice is? It's to just start at frame 100. Okay, so that way when you think of, maybe I should have animated this before that, and if you're starting at frame 0, you can't go back, you can't go in the negatives. So let's just start with frame 100. So I'm just gonna click here, start with frame 100, and I'm gonna give myself an end of 600. So there you go. So on let's just say 130. Okay, I'm just gonna select this. Then now there are two ways to add keyframes, I guess, or the two most common ways. One of them is just hitting I, and then you add a location keyframe. There you go. Or you hit N and you go to item, and over here just hover over the axis that you want to add a keyframe. So in this case it's the Z axis, so I'm just gonna hit I over there. Now that's, and again, that's one way. Or what you can do is just right click on the Z axis and hit single keyframe. So now the difference between single is, okay, the single, it just basically added a keyframe on the Z axis. If we just hit if I just delete the single keyframe and just right click and hit insert keyframes, it's going to add keyframes to everything. But yeah, so there's that. And then I'm just going to go 30 frames ahead, so plus 30. Yes, you can do math in Blender. And then I think I'm going to go to the front view, and I'm just going to bring this GZ down a bit, something like this. Yeah, and then hit I again. Now, unlike for those who have some experience in working in After Effects, you just change the value and the keyframe gets added automatically. So that's not the case in Blender. You have to again add a keyframe for the changed value, or the value, or it will just revert back to its original position. So yeah, remember to add a keyframe. Okay, so that's there. After that, we want these things, the arms, to open up. So after this opens up, let's give it around 1 second. So let's just plus 30, so on this. Then let's add a keyframe on the rotation of the Z-axis, right? Because that's how we want it to rotate like this. All right, so let's, on the Z-axis, let's just hit I, and yeah, of course you have to make sure that the this empty is selected, right? So once that's there, let's again give ourselves 1 second for the animation to last. So 30, go 30 frames ahead because we are running at 30 frames per second, right? So keep that in mind. So that's it. Let's just rotate this something like this. Okay, and let's just add another keyframe, and then let's just go back to the previous one, and let's just add a keyframe for this empty. I think it's called the arm controller. Now a very fun way to go back to your previous keyframe is just to hit the up and down arrow button, so that way you can jump between keyframes. So now that we're here, let's just select this empty, and see, now this is why you kind of want empties to control, because as you can see, selecting that would have been a pain in the ass for us, so we have to zoom in and select that. So instead what we're doing is just the empty stands out, it's kind of big, so you can just select that, and that it controls the other arm. So there you go, easy peasy. Again, add a keyframe there, go 30 frames forward, and then RZ, rotate that and bring it something like this. Let's see. Yeah. Now now when you think about it, I think the arms or the wings or whatever you want to call it, they are a bit smaller compared to our last design, but that's okay, I suppose. Or let's see if I can edit that. Maybe I won't. I think I like this one. It's small, and I think this design is a bit better. That's just in my opinion. You can, of course, if you want to change it, select this, go into there. Yeah, so again, this is already selected. If it's not, just select this row if it will allow me to do that. Yeah, and then Alt S, so you can scale along. So let's just bring it somewhere over here. Yeah, so now that's there. Again, it's really up to you. I think I like this slim version of it. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. So now if we take a look, the animation is, and yeah, we did the mistake again of not adding the keyframe. So let's just go 60 frames ahead, sorry, 30 frames ahead, and then let's just change the value over here to something like this. Maybe a bit, yeah, something like this, and then hit I over here. So now we have this. Cool. So now we need to add a rotation animation over here. So just go over here. So once the arms open, let's just add a keyframe on the z-axis, and then let's just go all the way back to the end frame, and we can do that. Now of course you can go and mess with drivers in this case, but since this is more beginner focus, I really don't want to introduce you guys to drivers. But you can of course just Google it or YouTube it, and you'll find plenty of videos on drivers. Okay, so at the last frame, let's just select, we want it to rotate 360 degrees times, let's just say 10, and let's see if it's fast or not. Like, I really can't tell if it's that fast. Let's see. Starts over here. It's not that fast, so maybe into 20. That got a bit fast, right? Let's try playing it. Yeah, that's a lot faster. And we're getting this, of course, it's a bit lag because we're rendering it at the same time. So let's just play it now. Now you'll see. So instead of 70, I think 3600 does the job. Let's see. And I'm so sorry for my laptop's fan if you can hear it into, let's just say 18,000. Yeah, I think this looks perfect. Okie dokie. So let's go to the look diff mode or the rendered mode. It doesn't really matter in this case because we are using Eevee. Eevee is very fast. Okay, so once they start rotating, let's just give it around 60 frames. So after 60 frames, select our main box, the main empty, and then let's just add in a keyframe on the z-axis. And then let's just go maybe 30 frames. Yeah, just 1 second, or maybe 60. So yeah, let's just give it more 30 frames, and let's just look at the camera, and let's just bring it up something like this. Of course we can change the framing of the camera later. We will change it. I don't like the framing over here, but yeah, let's not forget to add a keyframe over here. So now if you take a look, it's going up, and I also want it to have a bit of a tilt maybe while going up. So let's just go over here to the last keyframe and add a, which axis is it? Is it Y? Oh yeah, definitely Y. Or let's just say maybe we should add like this. I don't know, let's just see. Add a keyframe over here, then again go jump to the last keyframe of this, which is 340, and again on the Y I want it to do like this. Yeah, maybe like this. So reverse. Okay, like this. Yeah, I think -20 would do just fine. Yeah, so now after this I wanted to rotate it towards the screen. Okay, so let's see. After this happens, let's just give it a 10 frame gap, and then let's add another keyframe over here on the z-axis. Okay, and then go 30 frames ahead, and let's just zoop like this. Yeah, and let's just change this up a bit. Yeah, now again this animation is looking a bit different than the one that I posted on my Insta, but again the whole point of the video is not to recreate the same thing. It's to teach you guys how to do the modeling and animating and messing around with curves. Yeah, anyway, so there's that. So after this happens, it turns. Okay, so excuse me, so after it turns, let's just give it another 15 frames of a break, right? And then I think I'm just gonna add another keyframe for the rotation, and then let's just go 30 frames ahead, and then it will look at this side like this. Soup. Whoa, okay, it's like it's checking something, you know. Add another keyframe, then let's just give it a 10 frame gap, add another keyframe for rotation, then let's just go 30 frames ahead, and let's just change this over here, looking like this. Okay, then it I, and again 10 frame gap, then it looks at the center like this, goes something like this, hit I, and then after again a 10 frame gap, let's just go 30 frames ahead again, and then let's just tilt it something like this. Yeah, now that this is where we have to set up our camera properly. So select the camera, then hit shift tilde. This gives us kind of a a first person kind of perspective thing, and think that is looking good. I think I'm gonna go with 90. Yeah, 90 frame, 90 millimeter focal length. Yeah, that's what I'm searching. Okay, so now that this is there, we've added the keyframe, and then all that's left for us to do is add another location keyframe over here, or let's just go 10 frames ahead and add a location keyframe, then go 30 frames ahead. And now what we want to do is we have to bring up the phone to the camera. So I think I'll just do that over here. Let's just switch this to the render view and then select, this is already selected, so I'm just going to select this move tool so I can see better, and I think I'll just bring it up, lifting it like this. I think I'll switch to local. Yeah, that way I can, you know, mess around with you guys just a tiny bit. Yeah, okay, and then it goes so maybe up, and this is where we cut the scene. So in any video editing app, that is, this is where we get to cut it. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit I over here. So yeah, so that is all for the keyframes, you know. So if you take a look back, let's just let it be for a while, because we will need that to set up our whole graph editing view and all that. So okay, let's just focus over here for a tiny bit. So yeah, so first the bottom portion appears, and then the arms appear out. Okay, and then it should start moving up slowly. It goes like this over there, then it turns, then it looks over there, then it looks over here, and it looks at us, then it tilts, and then it zoops. Cool. So animation curves. Yeah, that's the fun part, and it's not really called animation curves. It's called curves, just curves. You know, you can find it in the graph editor, and that's where we're headed. So the first thing that I want to change is these keyframes. Okay, so before we jump into all that, let's just go over to the animation tab, and let's just have a look at the graph editor. Okay, now if you don't have anything selected, this is how it's gonna look. It's gonna look empty. So if you select something, let's just say if I select this again, this arm controller empty, and if I go into animation editor or just the animation tab, you'll see a bunch of shit. Now yours might look a bit different, right? So all I did was just hit the 0 key on the numpad, and so that I'll be able to see it through the camera. That's really it. And yeah, I then turn down the rendered mode. Yours might be something like this, but it doesn't really matter. The big and interesting thing about this whole section is this, the graph editor. Now yours probably looks something like this. Yeah, so all you got to do is just click over here and come and just select this graph editor. There you go. Again, if nothing is selected, you will see nothing over here in the graph editor. So first things first, let's just mess around with the arm controller. So select that, go over to the animation tab. Jesus Christ. And boom, so here we are. So at the bottom, instead of our timeline indicator, we have a dope sheet, and that basically just tells us all about the keyframes that we have in our scene. Now back here in the layout, as you can see, we only get 2 keyframes, but here in the animation tab, we get each and every keyframe. We get to see each and every keyframe that there is, for X, Y, Z. And over here it just shows the combined keyframes. But yeah, that's the difference. Now the only change that is being made, as you can see here when the arm rotates, I'll just zoom in a bit like this, is in the Z-axis, and it's pretty sweet, I guess. But what I want is for it to snap out, like it's snaps out. That's the kind of thing that I'm going for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, okay, and let's just say it's just something like this, okay. Yours probably will be. So you need to select this and then hit the period key on your numpad, and that just basically zooms into the keyframes that you've selected. Okay, so now that that's done, let's mess around with the graph editor. Now, what this curves will allow us to do is change the speed, or how yeah, I think the speed of the animation. I mean, it's a value graph. For those who are familiar with After Effects, this I don't know, most of the people in After Effects use the speed graph, but the value graph is also pretty awesome, and it's not that different, you know. It's just, yeah, you know what, just I'm gonna stop about After Effects and let's just focus on Blender for a while. So yeah, this just basically shows us how the animation is playing. Starts out slowly, then it grows fast, and then it slows down. Now we want it to be faster, right? It starts slowly, but it ends faster. So that's the look that we're going for. So here's how you do it. I'm just going to select this keyframe, and then I'm going to select this handle, and then I'm going to G and X. I'm going to concentrate on the X axis. And then I'm just going to pull it something like this. And then I'm going to again select this, then select this, and then pull it down. Something like this. So now, if you notice, it starts slowly and snaps out. Soup. But now, you'll notice that it looks a bit odd if we go into our look dev mode. It's a bit odd. And the reason for that is because this controller, or this MT, has a different type of animation, the different type of curve applied to it, and we need to copy the same curve. Now, this curve that, wait, let me just select this again over here. The reason I have to keep selecting objects over here is because it's disabled over here. So if I just go to N, or wait, if I just turn on this, no, not this, not this, not both of you just shut up. Yeah, it's the displays of but yeah, I think it's better the way it is because it only allows us to focus on the animation. Anyway, so we can of course just select it from over here, but you know what, it's just going over here and selecting. So there you go. So select this empty, the one that we just, you know, change the graph to, and then go to animation. Now here, this is called an easing out curve, right? And it's also called quantanic. So, well, you might be wondering what is all this about. You know, you're a beginner and you don't know. So let's just select all of this curves, and then it right click, and now you see over here in the interpolation tab we get a bunch of presets. Now the one that we are looking for is quartic. So if we select that, you see that this one is similar to the one we just had, right? So all you got to do is, again, just go over here, select this, go to the animation pane, then select this, or just go turn it down, select this, or over here select this, and then hit the period key. And yeah, you won't get nothing because you haven't selected anything over here. So once that's done, there you go. Then again hit the T key, that's the shortcut for the interpolation mode, and then it quartic. And now if you take a look, it snaps out, which is exactly what we want. So there you go. That's kind of the gist of curves, and that's what we're going to be doing for the rest of our scene. So it opens up and yeah, it moves on. So this is the empty that we'll be working with, which has a lot of animations, as you can see. I think I'm just gonna pull this up so we'll get a better view of this, and something like this. Okay, looking perfect. I'm just gonna disable these again. Okay, so I just realized that the changes that we did right now on the y-axis is on the y rotation axis. We shouldn't have done that. We should have done that on the z rotation axis. So I'm gonna skip whatever we just did, and we'll just do the same thing again on the y-axis. Okay, so let's just select the y rotation, right? The z rotation, sorry, again z rotation. You have to do it on the z rotation, not on the y, right? So let's just select these two. Then over here I just select these again, and then it comes better, so we'll get this view. Then I'm just gonna hit T, remember T, and then quartic, it is whatever it is. But so here it's starting very slow and then it's ending pretty fast. Okay, and that's not what I want. We want the opposite. We want it to start slowly and then ease out. So let's just right click, if it'll allow me to. Then easing type, over here in the options, easing type, choose ease out, which is the opposite of what we just did, right? So if we play now, see, so, yeah, just like we wanted. So it starts slowly, though it starts fast, and then eases in. Yeah, I was just doing that on the Y rotation, and there isn't a lot of Y rotation in this one, and I was like, well, why isn't it affecting anything? Well, either way, now it looks perfect. Now again, let's go over here. It changes direction again, and we want the same kind of curve over there too. So let's just select this, numpad period key, then again T, quadratic, and this again it's slow and then it takes speed. And how do you know that? Well, whenever there is a flat, you see there's a flat curve, right? And this basically represents the action that is being done over here. So it starts slow and then all of a sudden its value starts dropping, so zoop. But we want it to start faster, so the curve should be like this and then end slowly. So again, just hit E, or sorry, Control E is the shortcut for the easing section, and it ease, I think it's easing out, so I'm just going to hit ease in. Oh, sorry, it is ease in. We have to hit ease out because we want it to ease on the way over here. So this is the in point, this is the out point, so ease out. So if you take a look, perfect. Yeah, then let's go over here again, this one and this one. Then, whoa, okay, wait, over here, what's happening? Okay, so I think what we need to do is, okay, so here's what's going on over here. I forgot to add an extra keyframe, a hold keyframe. So just as soon as it's done reaching over here, it's directly gonna turn over here, and that's not what I want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all these keyframes and I'm gonna hit G and just move them along. Okay, and then I'm gonna come over here, this keyframe, then go 30 frames ahead, and then just basically duplicate this keyframe and to put it over. Yeah, there you go. So now it does, and then after that it turns around and it needs 30 frames to turn around. So let's just give it 30 frames. There you go, and then G and bring it over here, so it's gonna turns around slowly. There you go. So this is where we are. So we need to, okay, we animated that. Now let's just select these two keyframes, numpad key, again select this so that this gets highlighted, T, quartic, again Control E, and then hit ease out so that we get a curve like this. Understanding the curves itself it's a big topic. Maybe I'll make a video about it in the future, but right now this is what you get, because this is extending beyond the time limit that I wanted. This video is probably gonna be like 50 or 60 minutes. Let's hope not. So yeah, goes like this. Wait, this is, yeah, goes like this, goes like this. Like this, like this, and now it turns over here. So let's just select these two Select the Z again. Okay, so I think I forgot to animate this thing. Okay, so this moment I forgot to animate that. So I'm just gonna go over here. Okay, select only these two and then go over here. Select the Z, hit D, Quatanic, then hit Control E, is out. There you go. So over here, zoop, over here, zoop, over here. Like this. Okay, so this gap right here should be a 10 frame gap. So I'm just gonna add 10 frame and then select all of these and bring him closer. Yeah, just like this. So, and then it looks up. Same animation for the looks up as well, but I think this will be on the y-axis. Yeah, so again on the y rotation, that's where it rotates up, and we want it to snap as well. So select the y rotation, then go over here, T, Quatanic, Control E, ease out, because that's what we want. We want it to start faster and end slowly. You know, we want it to ease in its situation, ease in its position. Yeah, so there's that, and then this is how it zooms in on us. So I think it's all the axes over here. Let's just select them, and then X, Y, Z. There you go. And let's just see, we want it to start slowly and just zoom in on us, right? So like zoom. So let's just I'm doing this finger kind of, I'm showing you how to do it, but I'm not recording, I don't have a camera, so you probably won't be able to see the hand actions that I'm doing. Zoop, yeah, whatever. So select these three over here, the XYZ location, and the same thing over here, then hit T, Quatanic, and this time we won't be changing its easing type because that's how we want. Zoop. Yeah, pretty much. So that's the animation that we want. Again, it's getting a bit dark over here because there's no light. We'll fix that in a sec. But other than that, now let's add a cool looking backdrop. All right, so here's a little handy tip for backdrops. Just select the studio, say the collection, Shift A, then go add mesh cylinder, and it gets added over here. Then tab into edit mode. Okay, yeah. Control Z, Control Z. Yeah, okay, now let's just add in Control Z all the way to undo the animation that I did over here, please. Yeah, okay, cool. This is good. Okay, so let's add in a cylinder, and then over here under cylinder properties, this properties, once you click away, the properties will go away. There's a shortcut for it to make it reappear, but I forgot. Knowing, if you know me, you'll believe me that I forget a lot of things. Anyway, so select the cylinder, tab into edit mode, then select everything by hitting A, G, Z, 1, so that its pivot is at the origin is at its bottom. Then go to face select mode, select the top faces, X, delete the faces, and the faces over here, select them, and just insert them like this. Or you know what, wait, this needs to go a bit deeper, so something like this, or no, maybe even deeper than that. Yeah, something like this. Then insert it again, insert it again. There you go. And once that's done, go to the modifiers tab and add in a subdivision surface, and then make it to 3. And now all you gotta do is just scale it up until it fills the camera. There you go, something like this. And then just select this, go into edit select mode, select the top ring, and then just scale it out and bring it down as well. There you go. And then I think I'm just going to delete the plane or just hide it for a while. Select this, go to the materials tab, and then select PG. And there you go. This is looking good, you know. I think I'm gonna right click and shade smooth so that we get smooth surfaces. And yeah, so this, I think that's it, you know. Let's see, it goes like this, then it goes up, changes. But one thing that will concern us is the fact that these wings, they'll start rotating once they reach over here, right? So let's just go a few frames ahead and let's just add this to plus 1000 maybe. Yeah, then hit I again so that it keeps rotating and doesn't stop rotating, you know. Okay, cool. And the last thing that's left for us to do, I think I'm just going to go into the solid viewport mode, is to add a light source over here again. So let's just duplicate this, shift T to duplicate, X, bring it on the X-axis, GZ, yeah, something like this. It's just sitting on top, you know, giving us a bit of extra light, and we get that rim. You see this, this light that's reflecting, you know. So yeah, that's it. Of course, this is a different design than the one in my Insta video, and I also didn't add the camera that was over here somewhere, and that's because I thought it was a bit lame. And if you guys want, you can, you know, of course, add your own things to this model and make it look even cooler than this one. Pretty sure every model is cooler than this one. So yeah, let's just talk about rendering settings now. We're using Eevee, so the rendering is going to be pretty fast. And let's just go over here. Okay, everything is cool. You can enable motion blur. Yeah, that's a I think that's a 2.91 thing. Anyway, so 100 pixels by 100 pixels, everything looks cool. From 1000 to 600, sorry, from 100 to 600 frames. So yeah, 500 frame animation. Then over here, just select the location that you want. Could be anywhere on your laptop, PC, whatever it is. PNG, right? So it's kind of a habit of mine, you know. I'll render it in PNG sequences and then later compile it in a video editing software like DaVinci Resolve. You can of course do it in Blender as well, but if you guys are looking to render it in a video, just go over here and choose FFmpeg video, and I think, and go to encoding, and here under container you choose MP4. Yeah, I think that's it. And I've never actually rendered a video in Blender. I always go with PNG or OpenEXR files. But yeah, so this is just a small weird animation. You know, it's illogical, it doesn't make sense. It's completely weird, but it is kind of awesome. And the whole the whole part that I wanted you guys to focus on was the curves. You know, we didn't edit much, right? But you know, once you guys are familiar with the curve editor and modeling and animation, then you know, in the future videos we'll go deep into the curve editor, because it's very fun and it's graph editor. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing. This is the end of the second video. Let me know if you guys do end up making this or making your own versions, then let me know. I'm on Instagram. This is my Insta ID. You can send it to me over there. We also have a Discord server, so you can also of course share stuff in there, and if you have any questions or not, ask the community. They'll help you out, or at least I'm hoping they will. I won't. Yeah, so that's it. That's the end of this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be infinite.